And we should be live on Facebook. So welcome to the Healing Hour. This is Tyson Bannigan and your illuminator, bringing you and humanity into the light. And I'm with you for the next hour, for the Healing Hour. There's three ways you can join us today. Number one is you can phone in toll free, 1-866-DOWSING or 1-866-369-7464, and you can join me that way. Or you can click the Zoom link, which should be in the show notes, and join me that way as well. Or you can leave your comments in the Extraordinary Healing Arts Facebook page, the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy Facebook page, and we'll pick them up there. And also, I hope to get over to the Dowsing Energy Healing Facebook page and answer your questions there. So this is a time of the holiday season. It's a time for lots of people which is quite stressful. They're either finishing exams at university or getting ready to make travel arrangements to go home, to be with family. And for lots of people, this is stressful because family can be quite challenging. I mean, really, we really don't know how far we've come in taking back our personal power and standing in our truth, no matter what, until we go and visit family. It's not that we don't love them, it's just that they know how to push all of our buttons extremely well. So the greatest test for anybody is to see how well you've come this year when you go home and see whether you can stay cool, calm, and collective, or whether you react to every opportunity that somebody says something that pushes your button. So are you button free or not? This is your chance to find out. And if you'd like to be button free, not have your buttons pushed, then now is a good time to receive a clearing of whatever no longer serves you, whether it be emotional trauma, unresolved conflict, unrequited love, near-death experience, trauma from an accident, core fractures, voices in your head, foggy brain symptoms, can't handle other people's energy or be around people too long, affected by electromagnetic energy, you're hypersensitive, can't be around fluorescent lights, can't be in crowds. All of those are symptoms of your energy or your bioenergy system being overloaded and really needing to learn how to ground and free yourself so that you can be the best you can be and energetically be able to deal with what's coming up in your life, including the holiday season. So I can just see that somebody's joining us here. I'm just going to bring them on board here. So that's Arunas, and we're just going to say hello to Arunas and bring him on board right here. So hi, Arunas. Welcome to the show. Your sound is off.
How about now?
How about now is good. Yeah, so welcome to the Healing Hour. Thank you for joining me.
Good to see you again. Merry Christmas.
Merry ho-ho, yeah.
Yeah.
And this is the time of year when many people can be stressed out, so I thought we would talk about how to get out of your own way and make this the best Christmas ever so that you're not stressed out when you're around family when you get all your buttons pushed. So how to become a button-free, unpushed button-free person. So that's sort of what we're talking about today, seeing as we'll see who phones in.
I offer today, if you saw, to help human spirits from each town where we live to cross over.
Right. So talk a bit about helping spirits cross over.
Yeah, and we can help you. You have your mantras, I have my mantras, and I think everybody who watches right now, you just can count your human spirits in your territory. For example, I'm from Tampa Bay, from St. Petersburg. I counted today, I have 2,493. You can count, and we can do like combined effort to help them back to the dimensions Creator gave them.
So are you telling me that there's 293 spirits that need to be released in around Tampa Bay, Florida? Is that correct?
Yeah. I do clearings lately around my territory, so to speak. It's not mine, but Tampa Bay and Florida, and so it's not that many right now. But I believe everybody can count. And we do simultaneously the clearing all together.
All right, great. So why don't you take everybody through the type of clearing that you do for Tampa Bay, Florida, so anybody listening to this call now or in the future will know how that they can clear their own area of all disincarnate beings and entities and spirits.
Tyson, I'm sorry for interrupting. I would like everybody to count quickly how many spirits, human spirits, they have in their towns.
All right. Well,
yeah,
okay.
And clean, all together simultaneously. We're gonna clean our territories and towns.
All right, I'm done.
I'm done too.
Okay, so I don't know, there's nobody else on the call that I know of, but when you're listening to this call, if you could just douse how many spirits need to be freed from where you live, and I'm doing mine in the Shuswap area, and for me, I have 463 spirits that would like to go to the light. Disincarnate beings, spirits, entities, whatever you want to call them. So we're going to do that. And Arunas, you have how many for your area in Tampa?
2,493.
2,493. All right. So yeah, that's a lot of spirits to help send to the light. Okay, so Arunas is going to take us through his action to do this. Okay.
Tyson, would you lead? That's your show. I'm gonna join.
Oh, I thought you were gonna show us your way of doing it, which is
well, the way I do, I have my mantra like I mentioned before. Before I do, I ask inter-universal consciousness to assist me. I ask holy rulers of rulers of cosmic structure to assist me, and the same with my egregor who kind of behind me,
right,
to help me out. And then I have a vision. I had a vision before. It's like I call it cosmic storm, which basically it circles. I created the whole territory like a vortex.
Yeah.
In the white vortex.
Yeah.
Covers the whole territory, and it moves up into the light. Basically, you have to imagine some like heavens opens up,
right,
above that city, and that vortex circles and grabs every spirit and moves up back to the heaven dimensions.
Great, I like that. All right, so I'll incorporate that vision in what we do. So I love that. I like that. And in fact, when I help people set up a pyramid or energetic pyramid in their house using orgonite, like one puck in each corner of orgonite, I have them create a pyramid in the center of the house, which is then a vortex. And at the peak of the vortex, I put an interdimensional gate. So all of the entities and all the discarnate beings and all the non-beneficial energies can go through this spiral and through that portal into the light. So very similar. I like that. So let's do that. So I'm going to use my pendulum, and I'm going to be doing spinning it counterclockwise because it's like a vortexian energy to clear the landscape. So in your mind's eye, if you can envision that we're creating this vortex over the landscape that you have in mind that needs to be cleared, and like Aruna says, imagine that this vortex is picking up all the discarnate, non-beneficial entities and helping them go through the portal to the light. So here goes. I, Tyson Bennigan, in my holy name, with the assistance of Divine Mother, Creator God, and Archangel Michael and the heavenly hosts, undertake this clearing of all non-beneficial energies and entities from any and all sources, and that they be cleared from the territories that we hereby mention that are in your mind's eye of all people listening to this call now and in the future. Please picture the area that you want to be cleared of non-beneficial spirits and entities and discarnate beings. And we ask that they be cleared throughout all time, space, and dimensions, and through the multidimensional levels of reality. And let's clear the lineages too. So let's clear all the matriarchal, patriarchal, soul family, and star family lineages connected or associated with this discarnate beings. And we clear them through to the divine light. And we ask that their relatives or those that love them be waiting for them on the other side to greet them. Okay, and I declare this so in my holy name, so be it, it is done. Thank you. So the pendulum is still doing its thing. I've stopped spinning it, and I'm just letting it come to rest. And the fact that it's still moving indicates there's some action. Okay, so it's come to rest. Then on a scale of 0 to 100, I'm just going to check in and see how we did. And it looks like we did all right. So if you could just check in whether we need to do another one in your area, Runas, or not.
I'm still working.
Well, it's still working. Okay, so his is still moving. His pendulum is still going. And by the way, thank you for the charts that you posted in the Dowsing Energy Healing closed Facebook groups. So if you'd like to have a chart that Arunas is using, if you head over to the closed Facebook group on the Dowsing Energy Healing group, you'll be able to download and use the charts that Arunas is now using to do the clearing. Yes, so his is a very active area. I mean, that's 2,493. That's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times more than what needed to be cleared in my area. So mine cleared relatively quickly. And we're just, the rotation of the pendulum is just indicating that the action is still underway. And you can see that his hand is still, and so it's really the action of the clearing that the pendulum is symbolizing or showing you that's still underway. And when the action is complete, the pendulum will slow down and come to rest. And then we'll be able to check in and see whether we need to clear or not. And in some cases with the deep clearings, and I'm not sure whether one of the cases, sometimes you need to clear as many as 3 times in a row. There's something about the Divine Trinity that sometimes is necessary in very difficult clearings or intense clearings that you need to do it 2 or 3 times to get it all done. And if you know how to dowse by percentages, you'll see that it will shift through the percentage scale with each time that you do it. So the first time through it may be like 50%, and the second time through it may be 75%, and then the third time through it may be 100% clear. So it all depends. All right, so his pendulum is just coming to rest now, and we'll now then check in and see where we are.
Okay. First I ask, did my action completed? It shows completed.
All right. The other thing I want people to notice in what Arunas is doing is notice that he's holding his string about the length of his pendulum. The tendency for most people is to hold that string much longer. And what happens is their pendulum does not move as quickly. So by having a shorter string like that, and his is about the same length as his pendulum, I don't recommend that you go more than 3 times the length of your pendulum, so that you have a very fast action. Particularly
now we're going to ask how many spirits of 2,493 state didn't cross over.
All right.
I have completed everything.
Good. Great. So we just cleared, let's see here, about 3,000 and just about 3,100
I hope
disincarnate
more, because
spirits with
people
Ruth.
who listened, I believe they did the same.
Good.
Helped
Yes.
a lot more. And that's what's important, folks, to do those things. And, Tyson is a great inspiration for all of us to follow him, because all those spirits who are connected here and stay here, they try to be parasites of us, of ours. They connect to us. They feed off our energy, and that's not beneficial to us and not beneficial to them. So when Tyson mentioned that we have to check how many left, and if some of them left, we have to do again. That's the reason, because they are connected. They have those human spirits, they have emotional connections, and they, not that they don't want to go, but they don't have a realization of opportunity ahead for them. So that's
Yeah.
the reason why they don't go.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I know some may come from a Christian background, and they know that they've been not the best human being in this incarnation, and some of them are afraid to go to the other side because they may be in hell, for example. Others don't even know that they're dead. They cannot come to that realization. They don't know that they're in another dimension. They get very frustrated because they're trying to get people's attention, and nobody's paying any attention to them because nobody could see them. So there's all sorts of different situations about why spirits don't go to the other side. And the most benevolent thing you can do as an earth steward to clean up planet Earth, so the Divine Mother, Gaia, Earth Mother, can go through her ascension, is to clean up all this leftover emotional trauma that's locked into the geopathic stress lines, which comes from disincarnate beings, comes from trauma, war, and pestilence, suffering, and violence, gets trapped into Earth. And so when you free spirits, like we just did, you're lessening the burden on the Earth, and the less she has to go through cataclysmic change, like volcanoes and earthquakes and tsunamis and heavy rain and all the things that we're being confronted with worldwide in order to cleanse. You're easing the burden of Mother Earth so that her cleansing, like a snake shedding its skin, is not so violent for us human beings to experience. So we have a choice. Either we do this work and lessen that, or we actually get to experience the bumpy ride as the Earth does it for us. So this is part of what it is to be an Earth steward.
Agree. So if Tyson, you allow me, I would like to show a little bit how I use those three charts.
All right, go for it.
And for example, all guys know about Tyson clearing protocol, right? So basically that's what I have. For example, this is yes or no. That means that's how I'm gonna work with the Tyson protocol. I would ask first, let's say, for example, do I have recorded the fully Tyson protocol in my subconscious? Do I have fully how? And I mean, this is like 100%. And I'm gonna ask, do I have, what's a percentage of Tyson protocol is recorded in my subconscious? And you see, it goes like, basically that's the line that means it's recorded for me. During the process when I was learning about his protocol, I used to have like a 50%, then it grows to 70, for example, and then goes a little bit higher, till I completely have a data of that protocol in my head or in my subconscious. So then I just turn, to that protocol I start Tyson protocol and it starts working. So for example, if I need for example, I need to clear emotions, right? And you guys can ask, how many emotions, for example, negative emotions affecting my health right now, or my situation, or whatever. And for example, I'm gonna show 4 emotions, right? Then you can I clean those emotions with the Tyson protocol? And if it goes around and it goes, you see, I show, for example, yes, mine showing, because this is recorded, it always works for me. So then I go and clean and say, I write those emotions on the list, circle them like a unit, and I say, now I clean those emotions with the Tyson protocol and let it work. Let it work, let it work, let it work. And then I check on this percentage, how many emotions did I clean with the Tyson protocol? What's percentage? And they're gonna show, for example, about 30 or about 40 or about 60. And you go till you're gonna finish 100%. So that's how, for example, I can use the protocol, in this case.
So did you happen to pay attention to how long it took you from the time you started to be able to be running the program subconsciously? Do you have any idea how long that was for you?
It takes longer for me because my English is not very good. So when I learn English, when I learn, let's say, protocol, I take time. Even when I learn charts, I take time. And now I explain why. Because every word, every sentence, every paragraph, it has its own charge, own meaning, and you have to deeply understand not only the wording, but an emotional side of that paragraph, and how to say, spiritual side. The more, the broader you put the understanding of the, let's say, sentence or paragraph, the better it goes into your subconscious and stays as a program. So it takes for me a long time, honestly, to read all. There's a lot of wordings, and sometimes you have to see some kind of maybe disagreements or something, but you have to compose into one piece and accept it as one. It's not because you reject, because when you have a disagreement, you reject it. You don't have to reject. You just accept it as a program. It's a program. It's a
Absolutely. And, that's why we ask you to do it 21 days in a row. They say it takes 21 days to create a habit, which is really another way of what Arunas is saying, where a habit is something that becomes spontaneous. In other words, the subconscious runs the program 24/7. You don't have to think about it. However, having said that, it's great to say clear every once in a while, or some wording like that is the indication to run the full program. But the point is that it takes various periods of time for various people, whether it's their native language or not, for that program to move from the conscious mind to the subconscious mind. So if you've been spending most of your life in fear, doubt, shame, guilt, all those sort of negative emotions, and you're clearing yourself with a deep clearing for the first time, think about the fact that your default program is to run that endless loop of fear, doubt, shame, or guilt, or whatever it is. And what you're doing is reprogramming it, saying, no, I want to run the deep clearing 24/7. I want to clear up my world, because I create my world with every thought, word, deed, and action. So every word is my command. That's why I say, in my holy name, blah, 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 because it's the power of God. I have the power to create in the world with the words that I use. And if my words have all my life been negative, I've been self-deprecating, I've been, abusive to myself and other people, then those programs are by subconscious programs. So we want to change that through the deep clearing, and so it becomes automatic. So for Arunas now, he just has to say clear or think about clearing, and that program's going to kick on and run. So that's why we want you to do it for 21 days straight. And if you miss a day to start all over again, it's just to create that program. The other thing that's really interesting in what Arunas is telling everybody is, the basis of dowsing is protocols, is to learn to make up protocols and to run them for periods of time so the protocol becomes second nature. So, for example, if you're learning how to dowse, you want to program your pendulum to say, every time I use my pendulum, or every time I muscle test, or every time I do my body sway, I only want my answer from my higher self connected to source. This way you bypass your rational mind or your ego or your monkey mind who wants to tell you, oh, no, don't listen to that. You need to do this for your protection, whatever. You want to bypass that. You do want to use your rational mind to ask the question, but you want the answer to come from your higher self connected to source, which is through your heart. So, for example, that's a program that you want to establish so that it's second nature. It's your subconscious. When you pick up the pendulum, the answer is going to come from guidance, and now that you can trust it. And the more you trust it, by actually even testing it to see whether it works, with the small things like, I would like to increase my income by whatever, and it shows up in that week or that period of time that you've increased your income, then you know that you can trust that you're using your pendulum gives you the results you want. The more you trust, the more you can rely on, the more you rely on, and soon enough, the gateway is open and you get the flow of guidance in words that comes along with your pendulum. That's why this is so beautiful to do this in steps, is to set up programs, let them run, let them become second nature. And now life becomes easier because all these programs are running in the background. You don't have to think them all through. So in other words, I don't have to worry, should I do this or should I do that, or I don't know, or maybe, or whatever. I just have to pick up my pendulum and say, is this in my highest and best interest to do this? Yes, no. Is this program that going to help me increase my business? Yes or no? And my brain's going to say, oh, that's really exciting. I just listened to this video. This guy's technique is really fantastic. I need that. And I tune into my pendulum, I dial it, and it says, no, you don't need it. Boom, done. No more discussion. Why? Because it's connected to my higher self. I don't need to question it. I can move on. I'm not going to be running that question over and over in my mind. Oh, did I do the right thing? Or maybe I should have bought that program. Or, you stop second guessing yourself. So what Arunas is saying about programs running in your subconscious is really important. And that's the basis of learning how to do dowsing, is to set up protocols and to use those protocols over and over again until they become second nature. So did that make sense, Arunas?
Yes, it makes sense, and it makes sense when especially when we're working with the charts as well. For example, next time, hopefully I'm gonna translate the emotions, because I have a chart for emotions. It's about 30 emotions, and what I'm gonna do, I just gonna give you a chart with the empty chart with the arrows. And I would ask everybody of you to write those emotions by hand. It's gonna be old-fashioned way. And today's technologies and charts and everything, they all look nice and nicely done. But remember, I just think about why the old healers or old dowsers, they are very good, because everything they did with the hand. And when you write with hand and you think about the meaning of the word, for example, hate, right? Mm. You understand the emotional side of that word, the letters, the structural, the vibration, what you experience with that word. So when you make a chart by hand, you're creating a very strong system which is going to work magically for you. So with for example, with my chart, you just go, how many emotions, bad emotions affect, for example, creates that illness or have effect on that illness. And you go like, for example, 6. And then you just go to your chart, you just made it by a hand, and the pendulum just gotta run after correct answers, because your subconscious is gonna give you right to the point. because in that way you're going to create that system which is going to work as a program. And for you as a dowser, your answer is going to be almost 100%.
Yeah, that's great advice. And this is one of my favorite books, and I'm just going to bring it up so people can see.
A little bit closer.
It's called Letting Go.
Uh-huh.
It's a Pathway to Surrender. It's by David Hawkins. And it was the last book he wrote before he passed on. And the back of it says, letting go describes a simple and effective means by which to let go of the obstacles to enlightenment and become free of negativity. During the many decades of the author's clinical psychiatric practice, the primary aim was to seek the most effective ways to relieve human suffering in all of its many forms. The inner mechanism of surrender was found to be of great practical benefit and is described in this book. So what Runas is talking about, he puts out as a map of consciousness. And the map of consciousness takes your emotions and talks about them, and I'll post this in the Dowsing Energy Healing closed Facebook group. But you can see that you go from 0 at the lowest vibrational frequency to enlightenment at the highest. And what it's saying is not to ignore these emotions, not to repress them, but to clear them. And the way that you clear them is to really step into them and own them. In other words, understand why you're feeling that way. And as soon as you allow yourself to understand why you're feeling that way, you no longer are in that emotion. So for example, the lowest emotion on the scale in a -20 is shame. Okay, if you have shame, then there's nowhere for you to go. You have no energy, no power, no sense of self-worth, and you're literally self-deprecating so much that there's nowhere for you to move. And as
let me interrupt, Tyson, please. Let me interrupt about the shame. That's what religion created, sin, understanding of sin based on the shame. And that's why, unfortunately, the creation by the sin, the knowledge of sin, like shame, it became a very tragic to the humanity.
Absolutely. I mean, the thing to remember is at least the God in my world. I mean, we all create the world we live in with every thought, word, and deed. So in my world, the creator God I work with is a benevolent being. In other words, you can never get it wrong. It doesn't matter how horrific you've been. From our creator's perspective, it's all experience. Now, can you make your life more difficult? Certainly you can. But the only judge is yourself. So the whole thing of original sin, guilt, shame, and all that coming from a creator God is, to me, a lesser God. It's a God that wants to control through shaming, guilting, power over, thou shalt nots, or if you don't do what you're told, hellfire, damnation will rain down upon your head. It's the Jehovah God. It's the God of vengeance. That's not my God. And many of the Judeo-Christian Islamic beliefs are rooted in the Old Testament with that sort of belief that we were born in sin and we will always be in sin, and the only way to release ourselves is through penance, and we need to suffer on this plane, and that maybe if we're fortunate and do penance, we might somehow end up in heaven. Well, that's the basis of shame and guilt at the lowest level. It really can cripple people. And so moving through shame and freeing yourself and climbing this scale towards enlightenment is really, really powerful. So I really encourage you to take a look at this book and know that each one of the chapters is an emotion. And when you work through that emotion, it frees you to go to the next emotion, the next emotion, the next emotion, and climb the scale. And how this fits into the whole idea of the deep clearing is that halfway up the scale, you go from positive to negative. So on this part of the scale, coming down, you're losing energy. And in fact, the whole forces of the universe are trying to take you off the universe or trying to recycle you because you're losing energy. In other words, you're in the downward spiral going towards death. Above that line, which is the line starts at in neutrality, when you just don't give a shit, to be quite honest, about what somebody tells you or what somebody says about you, that you own your own self-worth enough that you're neutral. Doesn't matter what anybody says about you. It's none of your business. Then you cross that border between losing energy and gaining energy. And as you gain energy and take back your personal power and stand in your truth, no matter what anybody tells you, you're now on the path to enlightenment. So that's why it's important, like Arunas is saying, to deal with those lower emotions. It's not as though we want to get rid of them by covering them over or plastering them over. We want to actually maybe even live through them, not because we want to wallow in them, but we want to live through them enough so we can release them. We want to let them out of our body. We want to ground them out of our being once and for all, and then we're free, because that energy will never show up in our lives again, because we don't carry that energy, so that energy outside of us is never attracted to us. So in other words, what shows up in your life depends on your own inner life. So if you're in shame, you're going to bring evidence from outside of you that you should be in shame. When you have no shame, nothing can show up in your life to make you feel shame, because you're no longer at that vibrational frequency. There's no match. So this is why taking back your personal power and standing in your truth and the deep clearing are all interrelated with learning how to let go of your emotions, how to move up this graduated ladder, like Jacob's ladder, towards enlightenment. And how do we know that you're enlightened? Well, it's really in the word enlightened. You feel lighter. You have a lot more ease in your life. Things just show up. There's more synchronicity. There's more ease and there's more grace. And if that's starting to happen in your life, it means you're letting go of the lower emotions, and magic, what we would call magic, is starting to happen in your life. And so as we move into this holiday season, that's what I want for everybody. I want everybody to know that the spirit of the holiday season is one of lightness and joy and creativity and sharing and being fellowship with your family. And if you're not having those feelings for whatever reason, that's okay. Our job here is to help you take back your power and feel good about what's happening over these holidays so that you can enjoy it and have joy in your life. Hopefully this makes sense to you, and hopefully you're willing to reach out to Arunas or myself and receive some clearing and some guidance to help you take back your power and make this the best festive season anyway. So that's the main point I wanted to get through and across in today's session here in the Healing Hour. But don't forget, we're available for you to phone in, and that's 1-866-369-7464. We're available to take your call. And if you can't remember the number, it's 1-866-DOWSY. Okay, we're standing by here to the top of the hour. We've got another around 16, 17 minutes to go. So this is your opportunity to clear what you don't want and install what you do want. So thank you, Arunas. That was a really good introduction to basic dowsing, to charts, to deep clearings, to emotional clearing of the lower emotions and why it's important. That's all extremely valuable for people to understand how this all works.
You're welcome. Thank you for allowing me to do that. And I have a great pleasure doing this. And
yeah, it frees people up, doesn't it?
Yeah. I really, maybe I'm talking too much about emotions and negative thoughts and negative emotions, but I stressing every time, because those are major stressors which causes our problems, because those stressors, they sink into our energy field and they damage it. just think about it. We have over 74,000 meridians in our body. 100 chakras, and we pollute ourselves. We're doing a big damage to ourselves. So please clear yourself from negative thoughts and emotions.
Yeah, clear yourself from negative thoughts and emotions. Welcome to the Healing Hour. Who are we talking to?
Hi, Tyson. This is Annette. How are you tonight?
Hi, Annette. Haven't heard from you for a long time. How are you doing? You feeling any better?
Yes, a lot better. Thank you. I have a problem. I do all the dowsing, and when I was decorating the tree for Christmas, it seemed like a switch happened. So I know someone, again, a negative force behind the person doing this, switched over to like a switch in the back of the neck, and it was like I fell to the dark side. So, and it was, I got it down to seeing that it's abundance issues and also love issues. So I think it's ancestral, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's some door into your vortex or into your chakra that is still open, and that allows the negative energies or non-beneficial energies to be able to enter you and flip the switch, so to speak, for lack of better words. So yeah, we've been working on this for a long time. So I'm going to just see what Arunas can pick up on this. If that's something you'd like to do, Arunas, do you want to tune into this?
I can try. I never work again with the images. I just trained to do that the way. But let's try. We'll see. What I check always, maybe someday I will teach you guys. What I check, there is 4 major things when I do clearing. The first, I clear people from the human spirits. On average, every human has about 5 to 8 tenants, so to speak.
Yeah.
The human spirits which possesses us. Then
Can you hear that?
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
good.
Thank you.
Then we have entities, which are not emotional things, and they're not they're energetic, to say, enemies of humans. So those also possesses us. And then there is a quartz, which Tyson talks a lot. So quartz work, in my understanding, with the deceased world, works for the human spirits, and with the egregores works entities. Entities, so to speak, are kind of intermediate connectors or warriors for the egregores, or some negative networks of egregores. Egregore can be it's like a organized mind. It's like, it could be, for example, egregore of Christianity, egregore of for example, family, egregore of country, egregore, political egregore, shamanic egregore, and so on and so on. And they have white channels and they have a negative channels, so positive and negative channels. So I cut those negative channels. I leave always the positive channels because we are interconnected anyway.
All right.
So,
well, that makes sense to me. So
yeah, I cut those negative channels, and then I send those. I do like sort of exorcism. I send the human spirits back to the dimensions and to meet the higher self. And entities, I try to send them as much as I can, but sometimes if they can, I just eliminate them. Sometimes. And those 4 steps I do before any healing I start. If I start working on some kind of serious problem with a human, so before I clean the energy field. And then the next step is I bring back energy structure, because our etheric body, which we know, it's like 2 hands. Imagine it's our body, and this is our etheric body with the meridians, and imagine this chakra. And because of interruption from the parallel worlds, they twist and they go away from the physical body, right? Imagine it's like twist, it goes away. So then here we see in this area, we see there is no energy.
So what he's doing is he's putting his 2 hands together, demonstrating how the positive and negative parts of the universe can misalign, so that there's some areas
misalign. They misalign, and that's
misaligned. So there's some parts of it that, like, he's got one finger that isn't aligned, so some part of it don't have energy. Anyway, that's explain what he's showing you.
And you have like a little swamp, like and the swamp of energy. It doesn't move anything. And what happens basically through our body, our energy interchange of everything goes in 3 ways. In a biochemical way, let's say through the hand, which is through the blood, through the food, and so on, and next is going informational level, and third level is third level is energy level. So energy level and information goes through the meridians and chakras, and the biochemical supply goes through the veins and through the food, through the digestion system, and so on. So that's how it is. And just think about it. When we have, and every organ, by the way, every organ has its own duplicate of energoinformational duplicate, they call it. And with aligned, that's a problem. Usually it's a very good, remedy just to build back the energy field for the human, especially after the stress. You can see this especially stress creates a house in our energy field, and this misalignment is huge. So we have to go and ask for alignment. And if you have no basics and no other techniques, you can try simply asking for Holy Spirit, or I ask interuniversal consciousness. That's how I approach. It's basically the same. I ask interuniversal consciousness to restore alignment of my energoinformational body towards my physical body, to the level given by Creator. I don't set up the level. I set up the level to the level given by Creator. Everything I set in my practice, I always set to the level given by Creator.
Right. So does that make sense to you?
And that I assume as 100%.
Yeah. So I would maybe say it like to reinstall the original divine blueprint or the level of Creator. I think they're somewhat similar. But I think what Rurinus is saying is really quite interesting, is that the more I understand the whole concept of the physical world, the third dimension is really like the predominantly male energy, but then the negative, and I don't mean negative and non-beneficial, is really the divine feminine. So we live in a world where the masculine is predominant because it's the physical world, but the unseen world, which literally matches hand for hand, like Rurinus was demonstrating, is the divine feminine. And when the divine feminine body, let's describe it as a body, is misaligned with the divine masculine body, then you're out of sync. There's just no way that you can be in alignment And that place where it's misaligned, like Arunas was saying, part of one hand doesn't cover the other, creates a vortex or a hole into your energy field. And according to the lack of energy there, the vibrational frequency, any entity that matches that frequency then has access to you through that portal. So hopefully this gives you some concepts. Now think about this from your point of view, in that you've always felt that what you're really wrestling with, or what's in the ray, is your soulmate, that this being or whoever is in the way of you meeting your soulmate or having completed this incarnation with your soulmate. Is that correct?
Well, that's why I came to Florida, to meet the person. I knew that they were somewhere around here, and I felt it. I'm an empath. So, not solely, but I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, it's a big driving force. Well, in the new book that I'm reading, which makes perfect sense to me, it talks about a soulmate, or one's counterpart, as really the divine marriage that I just talked about, which is between your higher self, the divine feminine, and your physical body, which is the divine masculine. And that's your soulmate. And once you have that together, then the soulmate, which could be another being, has done the same, then those two beings can then meet on the physical plane. But until that happens, that soulmate can appear and disappear, or could be in your life but be married to somebody else. Or what I'm saying is there's just a misalignment for it all to happen on the third dimension. So the point I'm trying to make is, if you think in terms of what you're looking for in your soulmate, as what your desire is to have the sacred marriage in your body between your divine physical body and your divine feminine, which is your spirit, then you're going to become close to realizing this and being able to close the gates. What do you think of that?
I like that a lot. I like that a lot. But you forget one point here. Besides this point, is that in my particular case, I've had a person, well, a demon behind, and many people helping him, to that old story that I bring out once in a while from the old closet, is that the jealousy, genetically speaking, with Asperger's syndrome, has a point of contention that watches and monitors everything I do daily, hourly sometimes, not anymore, because I've been able to overcome most of it. But that also prevented me from other lifetimes that I had to clear with this individual, that I gave over my power to them, about 6 lifetimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
you've been eaten alive 5 or 6 or 7 lifetimes. And of course, the soul test that you presented to yourself this time is truly to take back your personal power and stand in your truth, so that no entity, demon, or whatever can interfere with your energy field. And the beauty of this is that this is a test you set up for yourself. And you never set up a test like this for yourself on the soul level until you actually have the wherewithal in order to graduate. So, we're looking for the graduation exercise, so to speak, where you can permanently free you and your lineage from any demonic intrusion into your energy field from any and all sources, known or unknown. That's really what this is about. And so, in all honesty, this demonic being is your greatest teacher that you called into your life at this moment to have this experience, to finish off this incarnation and to get it done. And if you can see it that way, it will free up the trauma that's associated with it. And don't get me wrong, I understand that there's trauma associated with this, and it's not pretty. I'm not ignoring that. I'm trying to take you to the soul level to see really what this is all about, right?
Right. No, you're saying truth. The pain, though, that the person or the demon inflicts is quite, out of jealousy, out of, there's that old adage also, if you forget, that it isn't over until they give up. Of course, they think that they are doing this out of love or whatever as a retaliation, if that makes any sense.
Oh, absolutely.
But
May I
it's
interrupt?
them. It's the demons behind them.
Yeah.
So you have to release them. And
Yeah.
in order to, I've cleared my lineage, and you can douse this even to check this. I've cleared it all the way back to Adam.
Right.
So there was dragons and witches and all of that. Everything should be cleared. But this one thing that keeps this hindrance is this love relationships. So every time the soulmate is about to appear, he also appears and interferes.
Yeah, so that's
Or
really why I'm
lots of
saying is
things.
let go of any attempt or desire for a soulmate and go after the inner marriage that he can't touch, right? Because it's a sacred union and it's meant to be. And that is beyond his ability to interfere with you. And when you make that sacred marriage and you have that union, I mean, a true marriage inside yourself, you will become untouchable. This is the whole point. He will not be able to enter you because you've locked all the gates. I'm just going to turn you over to Arunas just for a moment. He wants to say something. So Arunas, go for it.
Yes.
Hi, I would like to, if Tyson can, because you know her better, just check, for example, are you familiar with the word infernal world? Infernal world. You can check this. It means world of deceased people.
Infernal world?
Internal wall.
Infernal.
Infernal. And
Oh,
you're,
infernal.
and you're
Okay.
saying infernal world?
Infernal.
Yeah, world. Are you saying WORLD?
Yes, wall, like a wall.
Yeah.
Infernal.
So the infernal world of deceased human beings.
Yeah, it's translation. It's meaning. It's relating to a characteristic of hell underworld, hellish neither.
Right. So it's a world
underworld, and so on, so on. So check how many connections does she have with that world?
Yeah, now check how many connections you have to that world. And, you've been doing the Court of Atonement. So put the demonic.
She has a lot of them. She has a lot of connection with the eternal world.
Atonement as well as a possibility, right? Yeah, Arunas, what were you saying?
Yes.
I think she has a lot of connections, a lot of channels to do the infernal world.
Yeah, absolutely.
She has to cut those channels.
Right. So you're over 500. I'm going to 6, 7, 8, 9. It's starting to move at 9. So 950, 960, 970, 980, 990. So you're somewhere between 990 and 1,000. So there's a lot going on there. So
Imagine you are
I think
open.
you cleared the lineage on the positive side, but maybe not on the think about this, all these entities attached to all your lineages through time and space have wanted to get free and haven't been able to do so throughout that whole lineage. And so that's the backlog that you're actually working on.
And I thought, I went through something else. I went through Courts of Heaven, which is another idea of mine. And they said that all my lineage, demons and on the other side were cleared. And you're saying that there's still 950, so to speak, or 1,000 demons still around?
Not the demon, the channel.
To do with what Arunas is talking about as the negative and positive realities. Maybe on the positive reality, you've done all that work, but on the negative, which is the divine feminine side, you haven't. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Just
I see what you're
check
saying.
for the infernal world and ask by yourself.
Just a minute. Aruna wants to say something, so just hang on. You're both talking, so I'll let Aruna say something. Hang on.
Just check how many channels do you have with the infernal world. When you have time, take my chart, for example, from 0 to 100, and check how many do you have.
Yeah, how many channels do you have to the underworld?
Infernal world.
The infernal world. And so you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, more than 10, more than 20, more than, so somewhere around between 20
50,
and 30. So the
60,
point here that,
70.
in all of
She
this
has
is,
over 20.
yeah, the
That's
point
a
in
lot.
all of this is one of the in the Tao, bringing heaven on earth has to do with clearing the triple worlds. So if you're a bodhisattva and you're here to clear up or to help all sentient beings achieve enlightenment, that's what the bodhisattva is about. This is not just the beings on this dimension, which is the earthly dimension, but also the dimension of heaven, or the above dimensions, but also the dimensions of hell. So a bodhisattva is here not just to clear the earth level, but also the underworld. And maybe that's part of what it is that, you haven't had a chance to do yet. And maybe that's part of what you're here as a planetary cleanup person, is to clear your lineage at the level of the underworld. Does that make sense?
Wow, that's a big assignment.
Well, no, it's not. You just jump to her. I mean, it's just a matter of doing it. I mean, these are beings that are trapped. These are beings, for most of them, that would love nothing better than go to the light, but they don't know how to do it because nobody's shown them, and they don't even know what that is, and they don't know even that they're trapped. They don't even know where the light is. And so think of yourself as being the queen of the darkness, the one that's the shining light in the underworld, and that it's your ability to do this. This is a gift. This is a benevolent act. It's not a frightening thing to do. It's a divine benevolent gift that you're offering.
In other words, you just
go in the underworld. You have to bargain.
No, you don't have to bargain. You just need to girth your loins with the light of Christ, and you're done. You're untouchable. If you know who you are and that you're from this world and you're a being of the light, you are untouchable. The fact that you are there and you can see them and they can see you, you have the power to release them. I mean, what could be more powerful than that, in the sense of you're not there as an ego, you're there as a benevolent being to free them.
in other
Is that through dowsing, or is that through putting yourself there?
It's
Then you
through
put-
both. Like attracts like, so it's energetic, but you can definitely do the dowsing and do the clearing, right? But what I'm trying to do is take away the fear from this, right? From you in this act of doing. There's nothing to be fearful of. Fear is the gateway into you. And when you have no fear and you know that you're doing what you're called to do, then you are become untouchable. Irenas wants to say something again.
Well, imagine when you're cutting those cords, or they're like a corridors, like a tunnels, vibrational tunnels. Through them, the underworld entities connect to you, and they can easily find your vibrations and prey on you. So what you're gonna do? You just basically cut those cords.
Yeah, they just
I don't know if seems to me you know how to cut the cord. But what's important, folks? It's important to understand. It's important to understand what you're dealing with. For example, that's why you have to count how many channels do I have with the infernal world or underworld, and you're gonna get the answer by dowsing. Then you know the channels. Your subconscious already pinpointed what you're dealing with, and then you cut those cords. when you cut those cords, it's going to be very difficult for underworld entities to connect to you and to find you. You're going to, like, you closing the doors. Right now you live with the open doors and anybody can go.
Did that make sense?
Yes, I was trying to find the paper that I have that I say every single day, maybe twice a day, to cut cords from any possible thing you could even dream of, and that you're telling me that isn't enough. So
Well,
what happened?
Not to the every single. It's a different.
When this person
You're
came
both
in
talking.
contact with me,
You're both talking at the same time. So he decides he wanted to respond to what you said. So just give him a second, then you can say, okay, let's go for it.
You just simply ask, how many connections or channels do you have with the infernal world? Don't think about entities, forget about them. Just think how many channels do you have to that underworld? And then just do with a dowsing. With a dowsing. Just say, for example, you can do like in the name of Holy Father, Holy Spirit, and Holy Son, I disconnect, destroy, and cut all those negative channels with the infernal world and send them to the dimensions to transform them to the divine love and to cosmic harmony. That's basically what I say. And work.
And then you check again to see if they're all cut.
Yeah, then you see how many left. So how many left. Sometimes you can go through all of them, but when you have a lot, it takes time. Maybe you're gonna get, or you can say exact amount. Say, for example, the first you're gonna show you have 17 or 20. When you cut them, you check how many I have again, how many I have left, or how many I still have. You're gonna show a new number because you have a lot of them. And when you cut them, then it's a next step to cut channels with the negative networks of consciousness or egregores. You check for those. So if you need, you can contact me. I'll explain a little bit in the details and show you something. But in general, those things like with the infernal world, you have to cut. And many people, they have them. And that's where the negativity comes from.
All right. So we're over the top of the hour. So Annette, I will make sure, Runas, why don't you put into the chat your email so that she can get hold of you. And
because you can go by my name and say, hey, we talked on a Tyson program. And
okay, so his name is
Something to say.
his name
I
is.
just want to tell him. Can I say this? That when I met this person, they split me in two, so which caused a rift. And so he and the shaman, female shaman, took the female side and put a stake through it, and the other side put a stake through it. So they had, with that split, caused many problems with, it just caused many problems that I had to sew back. But it may not be completely balanced.
Well, you're on your way. I mean, you're going to end up being a grand master in this area, and especially seeing as you're writing a book about it. I mean, you're going to have more and more stuff in the book, the highest level to clear the underworld. I mean, that's what your path is all about.
If you'd have told me that before, I would have never thought that was my path.
No, you wouldn't have put up your hand. You wouldn't have volunteered.
I would have started running.
Yeah, well, like the rest of us. But here we are. We got a job to do, and now's the time to do it. So we're going to wrap it up. Thank you, Annette, for joining us. Thank you, Runas, for your teaching and helping.
My pleasure.
Thank you for everybody that's going to learn this program. And if you are having these problems showing up at this time, which everything gets heightened at the holiday season, all those trials and tribulations, doubt, fears, guilt, shame, and everything get heightened as you get ready to go visit your family, which is your greatest test to see if you can take your power back, stand in your truth, no matter what. So be benevolent. We want you to have a joyful, happy, wonderful festive season. So if you need some clearing help between now and then, Arunas and I are here to help you. You just phone in toll free 1-866-369-7464, and we'll get you booked in and get you cleaned up for the holiday season. So until next week, same time, same place, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. No, I guess it's 5 p.m. Eastern Standard. Be healthy, wealthy, and wise. And until then, bye for now.
Bye-bye.
This has been the Healing Hour with your host, Tyson Bannigan, the Energy Detective. Join us every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Pacific Time or 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. During the hour, you can join us live by phoning in toll-free in North America, 1-866-369-7464. The Healing Hour is produced by The Wellness Show, www.thewellnessshow.ca, and sponsored by The Wellness Store, www.thewellnessstore.ca. The show is also sponsored by the Healing Arts Academy and also hosted on Facebook Live at the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy Facebook page. This is Tyson Bannigan, the Energy Detective that can help you clear any obstacles to health, wealth, and enlightenment. Call in toll-free 1-866-369-7464 next Tuesday to receive a healing during the show, or call in after the show to book a free empowerment session. 1-866-369-7464. Until next week, be healthy, wealthy, and wise.